once they vote to keep the government open, they also have to vote within the next couple of weeks to allow the Treasury to pay the bills for the money that Congress has already spent. I want to repeat, raising the debt ceiling is simply authorizing the Treasury to pay for what Congress has already authorized. Failure to meet this responsibility would be far more dangerous than a government shutdown. It would effectively be an economic shutdown with impacts not just here, but around the world. We don't fully understand what might happen, the dangers involved, because no Congress has ever actually threatened default. But we know it would have a profound destabilizing effect on the entire economy, on the world economy, because America is the bedrock of world investment. The dollar is the reserve currency. The debt that is issued by the Treasury is the foundation for our capital markets. That's why you don't fool with it. Now, some Republicans have suggested that unless I agree to an even longer list of demands, not just gutting the health care law, but cutting taxes for millionaires or rolling back rules on big banks and polluters or other pet projects that they'd like to see, and they've been trying to get passed over the last couple of years, that they would push the button, throw America into default for the first time in history, and risk throwing us back into a recession. Now, I am willing to work with anybody who wants to have a serious conversation about our fiscal future. I've demonstrated that by putting forward serious reforms to tax and entitlement programs that would bring down our long-term deficits. I have said in the past, and I will continue to say, that I'm willing to make a whole bunch of tough decisions, ones that may not be entirely welcomed by my own party. But we're not going to do this under the threat of blowing up the entire economy. I will not negotiate over Congress's responsibility to pay the bills that have already been racked up. Voting for the Treasury to pay America's bills is not a concession to me. That's not doing me a favor. That's simply carrying out the solemn responsibilities that come with holding office up there. I don't know how I can be more clear about this. Nobody gets to threaten the full faith and credit of the United States just to extract political concessions. No one gets to hurt our economy and millions of innocent people just because there are a couple of laws that you do not like. It has not been done in the past. We're not going to start doing it now. I'm not going to start setting a precedent, not just for me, but for future presidents, where one chamber in Congress can basically say each time there needs to be a vote to make sure Treasury pays its bills, we're not going to sign it unless our particular hobby horse gets advanced. Imagine if you had a Republican president and a Democratic speaker, and the Democratic speaker said, well, we're not going to pass the debt ceiling unless we raise corporate taxes by 40%, or unless we pass background checks on guns, or whatever other list of agenda items Democrats were interested in. Does anybody actually think that we would be hearing from Republicans that that was acceptable behavior? That's not how our constitutional system is designed. We are not going to do it. The American people have worked too hard to recover from a bunch of crises, several of them now over the last couple of years inflicted by some of the same folks in Congress that we're talking about now, to see extremists in Congress cause another crisis. And keep in mind, by the way, this whole thing has to do with keeping the government open for a few months. the continuing resolution, the bill that's designed to avert a government shutdown, basically just funds the government for another couple of months, so we could be doing this all over again. I'm sure the American people are thrilled about that. And that's why we've got to break this cycle. My message to Congress is this: do not shut down the government, do not shut down the economy, pass a budget on time, pay our bills on time. Refocus on the everyday concerns of the American people. There will be differences between Democrats and Republicans. We can have all kinds of conversations about how to resolve those differences. There'll be areas where we can work together. There'll be areas where we disagree. But do not threaten to burn the house down simply because you haven't gotten 100% of your way. That's not how our democracy is supposed to work. Every day that this goes on is another day that we're not focused on doing what we need to be focused on, which is rebuilding this great country of ours so that our middle class is growing and everybody's got opportunity if they're willing to work hard. That's what I'm focused on. That's what Congress should be focused on as well. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.